Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 4-2, pick a target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. Gotta hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. I'm hit. Where's the reinforcements?
Hello fellow viewers and welcome to part 3 of my video series. Again, I want to open by giving thanks to your support and the time that you take to watch my content. Happy New Year to everyone, and as of now, I will be hosting you under the name General Katarn. I also want to give a huge shout out to my Twitter friends, Flipped Out, The Rant, Sith Kryptonian, The Rookie Critic, Black Angus Reviews, The Salty Nerd, Runk 3PO, the President Abu Nas himself, Stephanie Janisek, Stephanie Kenobi, Nathan from Anomaly Inc., Robot Head, Demon Scythe Synthwave, The Lone Wolf Cub, Star Wars for Life, at Dawn876, Nev88, Roger Larson, and Proper Jeremy. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention anyone. We left part 2 by describing the mentor archetype and compared it to Luke in The Last Jedi, and proved through the inner workings of literature that Luke failed to uphold the role of mentor. In this video, I'll be going over why Rey as the main protagonist doesn't work very well. Keep your trigger points at the door, people. This isn't about me being sexist or that I don't respect women. The vast variety of cinema has showcased the most badass female protagonists throughout the years, but never used a character's femininity as the main focus of her character. I would expand on this, but my friend the Dishonored Wolf makes a perfect point on first diversity. Check it out. My point is to examine Rey and her qualities that determine her hero status, so you won't be hearing any sexist remarks in this video. Despite the fact that I got a lot of shit over the topic of Rey on Twitter, I want to quickly give my respect to those who are against my arguments but didn't be a dick about it and held the conversation to a respectable level. Yes, to my surprise, there are people out there who love The Last Jedi, and despite me and my peers thinking that their defense is utter crap, so do they think of mine. Keep in mind that we're two sides of the same coin. Now, by all means, I don't hate Rey as a character, so by extension, I don't hate women taking the lead role in a movie. It has worked so far in the past, and their femininity wasn't a factor of the success in their story arc. Don't get confused, people. I only disliked Rey's stale performance in this trilogy so far. Before some of you get triggered, allow me to explain. Rey in this trilogy is supposed to represent the equivalent of the main hero of the good versus evil story type. The main protagonist or hero is the element that the whole story is focused on. The audience embarks on the hero's journey with the protagonist. As the story progresses, so does the development of the main hero's character arc. This is the character the audience is theoretically supposed to get invested in the most. The main hero, be it male or female, possesses the traits that the mentor wants to cultivate and what the audience wants to relate to. The usual portrayal of the hero usually is a good-looking individual that in most cases gets assigned to the love interest. At first, he or she is introduced to the audience as an optimistic person with very little to no knowledge of the universe they are a part of and the perils that lie ahead. At the beginning of the hero's journey, the most important figure to him or her is the mentor. Their encounter is inevitable as it is necessary for the plot. The mentor explains to the hero what she or he needs to do and in turn is burdened with the task of defeating evil. When the plot has been established, the main hero is ready to begin his or her quest with the accompaniment of the mentor and the supporting characters. However, just like we see in the Fellowship of the Ring, there are some cases where the main hero is split up from the supporting characters. In the end, no matter what, only the hero can save the day. When the characters split up, each is tasked with a side quest of their own so as to aid in the final goal of saving their world or universe. This is one of the problems that The Last Jedi has. Too many side plots and side quests take from the focus of the film, thus mixing up the tone in the wrong moments. It's a given the main hero is chosen because of their special abilities or powers that make them unique. Despite this, they all require tutelage and experience that usually comes from the mentor at first. Their abilities have an in-world explanation of how and why they possess them. A wonderful example of a hero being cultivated by a mentor is the Count of Monte Cristo. Young Edmond Dantes is imprisoned and falsely accused of treason. In his time at Chateau d'If, he comes across an old priest who decided to teach him how to read, write, and fight. As the years go by and the priest dies, Edmond escapes his prison and returns to his old life, now educated and enlightened. With a twist of luck, a map, and faith, he comes across a hidden treasure and becomes the mysterious Count of Monte Cristo. With his newly found resources, education, and combat experience, he set out to punish the ones who were responsible for framing him. None of the above would be possible if he wasn't trained by the old and wise priest at Shadow Deef. One of the most important moments in the hero's journey is the loss of a beloved character, and specifically the mentor. Due to the bond the heroes share with their teachers, it's most impactful to them. All characters are forced to deal with this and grow from this situation, but most importantly, it's the hero that gets affected the most. Another important moment in the hero's journey is the encounter with evil and the seduction to join it. At some point, the main hero is pitted against the main villain. The main villain tries to persuade the hero to switch sides by using lies and manipulation. What makes the main hero compelling to the audience is at the moment of temptation, our hero becomes vulnerable, weak, and reveals all their flaws and the struggle of the choice ahead. The main villain is subjecting our hero in self-doubt and confusion. The hero ponders if he or she is on the right side and if all of this is worth it in the end. So, when the moment comes for the hero to decline and renounce the villain, it is a powerful moment of growth and resolve for them. Our hero shows that they're incorruptible and they earned this trait due to the hardship the villain had put them through. If the main protagonist renounced evil with a flat-out no, without the struggle and temptation from evil, it would be a cliché that the audience usually hates to see. Eventually, the hero and the rest of the characters will suffer a costly defeat, and it's yet again a moment of growth for all of them. Our heroes will reflect and evaluate themselves. Their confidence and optimism is shattered, and they must collect themselves and evolve into more composed and wiser people due to the errors in their past. Now, our heroes, and specifically the main protagonist, has a more grounded and realistic perspective of their universe they are a part of. With all the experiences the heroes have gathered through their journey, specifically the main protagonist, the next step in their arc is to rise into the leading position amongst the ranks of their peers. This is something the mentor has aspired to from the very beginning. All the mentioned above take place step by step through the training and hands-on experience they gain throughout their journey. And finally, as it always has, the hero is the one that ultimately defeats the evil mastermind and evil for good, thus restoring peace to their world. All this usually pays out in a spectacular finale in the final chapter of the movie. Now, why doesn't Rey work as a main protagonist? No, I'm not gonna go with the whole Mary Sue trope like you've seen before. I'm hoping that by the end of this video you will understand that and say it yourself. Rey's introduction in The Force Awakens was intriguing, as we had never before seen a main protagonist whose powers were never explained. They were just there. Now, some of you may argue this was the case with Anakin and Luke, but still, they had some backstory to them while Rey had none. We all thought that we'd get an explanation by Rian Johnson in Episode 8, but expectations subverted. She's just OP. Now, I don't believe that it's JJ's fault, as he had faith that Rey's character and backstory would be set up and explained by the next director. You know, the same cooperation that George Lucas, Kirshner, and Marquand had in the original trilogy. I'm sorry, JJ, you were deceived. But let's take the production part out of this and focus on the story. Rey's powers were on par with Obi-Wan in A New Hope. You know, pulling off a mind trick with no knowledge of what the fuck it is you're doing, calling the Skywalker lightsaber and breaking through Kylo Ren's force pull, you know, the guy who had years of experience and training over the Force, but people seem to be okay with this. But it's not. But Katarn, it's Star Wars, a story with space wizards and magical powers. You know, anyone can use it. Yeah, but when it comes to a story that's not yours to tell, but you are the one that continues to tell it, you must always follow the established rules from the creator themselves. So by that token, George Lucas, you know, the guy that ruined your childhood, if he says that you need to train in order to be proficient in the Force, you know, decades of training, that's what you should do. So you can't go and retcon him by having an individual with Force powers of a Jedi Master with no training. It doesn't make any sense. Is where I got a lot of shit on Twitter. There are multiple speculations on why Rey is so overpowered, and of course, the Last Jedi defenders subscribe to the laziest ones out there. In The Force Awakens, we left thinking we'd get an explanation in the sequel, but we got nothing. A rule of thumb in literature, be it a movie, a book, a screenplay, or theater, or anything for that matter, is that it must stand on its own. If that fails, so does the writing and everything behind it. Tie-in materials are supposed to expand and add to the existing story, and not justify it. In Part 2, I pointed out that Yoda completely gave Rey a pass because of her possessing the books from that tree, because that's all what she needs. Meanwhile, Anakin, the Chosen One, who trained for over a decade with battle experience in the Clone Wars conflict and saved countless lives, was denied the rank of Master. So triggered fans would come up to me on Twitter for that and call me sexist because I didn't like Rey, a woman, in The Last Jedi. It's not a matter of gender that determines a hero's abilities, so drop your trigger points.
I said drop 'em.
If a male must grind to grow as a character, and a female simply gets everything handed to her, it makes her look incompetent and fragile. As if a woman can't get things done herself. You don't need toxic men to get things done for you. You can manage yourselves, right? Feminism in a nutshell. Contradicted in 20 seconds. Another argument I hear in Rey's defense is that training in the Force isn't required. The Force flows naturally in all living beings, so all she needs is faith. That's why Luke failed, because he didn't have faith and Rey believes in herself. Despite never knowing what the Force was even called a few hours prior, but anyway. So no training and just belief is all everyone needs, right? Okay then. Hello? Coach? Yeah, sorry, I ain't coming into practice no more because I believe we can win. So just give me a call a day before the game and I'll be there. What do you mean out of the team? Hello? Another brilliant narrative the Last Jedi fans bring to discussions is that Rey has the books from the old tree so she can read them and become a Jedi. Really? Just read the books from the tree and you're a fully trained Jedi Knight? No hands-on experience or practice or anything for that matter? Okay, let's see if we can apply this in real life. Let me get this straight. Let's assume that in my hands right now I possess a book on anatomy or anything that has to do with medical studies. And I start to read this book or any other book for that matter, and from start to finish, let's say that I'm done. Does that mean that I'm a trained practitioner in medicine? Does that make me a doctor? Does that make me a surgeon? Does that make me qualified just because I read a book on anatomy? Without experience, without any practice whatsoever? Because, this is the same analogy that the Last Jedi defenders give leeway on Rey. They say that, hey, she has the books so she can become a Jedi. So hey, for that matter, I can read about economy and that makes me a stockbroker or something. Really? No? Because by your token, this is exactly how it works. Just read a book on any profession or any topic for that matter, and that makes you proficient in it, because that's what Rey did with the books from the tree. The best argument, however, came from an experienced writer with love for the Star Wars franchise. We were debating on Rey effortlessly lifting those boulders in the end of The Last Jedi, and he said that it doesn't matter if she had training or not in the Force. He said that a Rodian baby used the Force to move a toy cube in the Clone Wars TV series. Spoiler alert for Season 2 of the Clone Wars, when Cad Bane went to abduct those Jedi younglings for Darth Sidious on Mustafar. Yeah, he made a reference to that. So I was wondering where he was going with this, and he said, the baby didn't have training. So I guess he's right. And I asked him, how do you explain Rey's impressive feat when it came to the boulder? His response to me was, quoting Yoda from Empire Strikes Back, size matters not.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you? And where you should not. For my ally is the Force. And a powerful ally it is. Life creates it. Makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us. And binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere. Yes, even between the land and the ship.
So whether it's a small cube or large rocks, boulders, whatever, it makes no difference because you quoted Yoda. Isn't that right, Adam? You know it, gringo. Wait, take Empire and Yoda's most famous scene out of context just to justify your shitty narrative. I wonder what Uncle Ethan thinks about this. No, wait, come back, we still have a lot to... Oh. In a film, it's important the audience understands how things work in the universe they are immersed in. Without the necessary explanations, the whole story crumbles as there is no guidelines the audience can fall back to and make sense of what they are seeing. Allow me to explain. If an already established franchise or just a simple movie has a few in-universe rules of how things work and those rules aren't followed, it can become distracting and confusing. In the Jurassic Park franchise, for example, it's been established that the InGen T-Rex cannot see its prey if it stays still. That's paleontologically inaccurate. Shut up, Jack Horner! Now imagine that in the future movies the T-Rex can see prey despite it being mobile or not. No explanation as to why would be considered bad writing and confusing to the audience. For that matter, any explanation would be acceptable, like this is a newly spliced breed of T-Rex that has better vision, for instance, because it has avian DNA mixed to it instead of reptilian like frogs. It may not be the best explanation, but it's better than none. So when you see Rey in The Last Jedi being so proficient in combat and the Force without a hint as to why, it can be a problem to the audience, especially the fans that know that training in the Force is essential and its mastery can take decades. George Lucas said so. You know, the guy that ruined your childhood. Good darn, you hack. There is an explanation to Rey's powers. I read in this book that she downloaded Kylo Ren's abilities when they touched hands in the Hatanach too. So, let me get this straight. Force download is a new power? Oh, okay. So, Force download is a new power, folks. Way to expand on Star Wars lore, Ryan. So, get this. It took Obi-Wan years to master the mind trick, and his master Qui-Gon Jinn outright failed to use it on Watto in Episode 1. But hey, Rey used it in one go to escape in Starkiller Base. It was more than one attempt, you moron. Oh no, you're right. That changes everything. Han Solo knows the Millennium Falcon like the back of his hand all these years, but it's Rey who shows him how to repair his ship. By breaking it. But she was a scavenger in Jakku for years, asshole, so of course she knows her stuff. So I guess if I'm a scavenger, I'm automatically a pilot, a mechanic, a driver, and a combat proficient fighter that can beat even the most seasoned of Jedi Masters. Cool. Remember how long it took for Luke to earn Chewie's trust? I think 3 years from Empire Strikes Back. You know that scene from A New Hope? You know in that scene where Luke wanted to put cuffs on Chewbacca to help get to Leia's prison cell? And later in The Empire Strikes Back in the beginning of the film when Luke was about to greet Han and Chewbacca because they were leaving Hoth, and then Chewbacca grabs Luke and hugs him, showing the audience that from the time gap between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, the relationship between Luke and Chewbacca has grown very exponentially and very healthily, and they trust each other. Rey? Oh, Chewie knew to trust her from the get-go, you know? But Kylo Ren is a trained killer that learned from Snoke and Luke Skywalker himself, so she don't stand a chance. God damn it. She touched the lightsaber twice and that's it? She's a pro? Okay, then bring on Yoda and Mace Windu to take her on. Shit. I think I made my point through using sarcasm, but on a more serious note, Rey has been nothing but flawless from the beginning of her adventure. It doesn't matter now what she does in Episode 9, because we all know that's when the good guys win, in the final film of any trilogy. The Last Jedi was the part where the hero undergoes their most vulnerable state, and Rey never underwent anything like that. We were promised that Rey's powers would be explored and explained, but expectations subverted. She did not. People also compare Rey to Luke, you know, in A New Hope, where he also took down the Death Star in one shot. So he's a Gary Stu, right? Well, no. He isn't a Gary Stu because he lost to Vader in Empire due to his inexperience and impatience. His defeat also had a psychological impact on him. By the end of Empire Strikes Back, Luke was silenced as he had a lot to take in and process from his recent encounter with Vader and his defeat. Whereas in The Last Jedi, the First Order is slaughtering the remains of the Resistance on Crate, so Rey, after having just defeated the elite Praetorian Guards without as much as suffering a scratch on her, comes to the rescue with a big smile on her face. My friends are dying, but woo, I like this. Rey hasn't undergone any character growth that can be seen in the traditional hero's journey. She is so unrealistically overpowered that the audience cannot relate to her because in real life nobody's perfect. The fact that she defeats her enemy so easily is so boring to watch as we don't feel that she is in peril. She can even triple shot 3 TIE fighters just like that, and I still can't believe that people buy that to this day. The only thing that conflicts Rey slightly is the fact that she doesn't know about her heritage, and it's the only time we see a glimpse of emotion and investment from her character. Rey, there are a fuck ton of heroes out there that have no idea where they came from. It was never an issue before, so why should it be now? There was never a problem being insanely powerful in the Force. We've seen that in Luke, Yoda, Anakin, and even Starkiller. Why it works with them is because their backstory is explored. Okay, not Yoda, because he always had a mystery surrounding him. Now, if that was what they were going for with Rey, I'm sorry, but it fails hard. We saw these characters grow, try, fail, get impatient, fail again, suffer defeat, and lose a loved one. All those are relatable traits that make them likable characters. So if George Lucas himself says that Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One, requires training despite his prophesied fate and abilities, needs to train, that means you have to get off your ass as well and practice just like every single hero in existence, especially in Star Wars. Darth Vader himself, in his own comic series, is still learning about the Force, specifically the dark side, and discovering his potential. It was never just handed to him like that. Also keep in mind that Vader's comic series is tying material that expands on his character and doesn't justify him because he was already written very well in the original trilogy. Rey's abilities even helped her resist Snoke's mind-probing ability when she was brought before him. Oh, but he's dead, so who cares? Conclusion. The lack of guidance from her mentor, let alone a lack of any believable chemistry between her and Luke, makes Rey extremely difficult to relate to. Her powers and abilities are never given an explanation, nor is why and how she is able to easily bring down some of the most elite fighters in the galaxy. Now I call them elite because the movies said so. What I saw is a completely different story. story. She's a woman and you hate women, you sexist peg. Well, I love Princess Leia and I adore Ahsoka, who are both incredibly powerful females in Star Wars, so your argument isn't valid. Both these women have undergone the traditional hero's journey in their own respects. They have won, lost, loved, they have been defeated, and they have been left broken by the loss of someone very close to them. What has Rey done out of all of this except win all the time? Oh no. Don't tell me that you call Kylo Ren her love interest. Not Reylo again. I'm a straight heterosexual male that finds Reylo and the very idea disturbing. Is this a relationship role model to be followed? To fall in love with a guy that murders his own dad in front of you, but despite that you believe that he can change and he still continues to abuse you? Actually, I think we all know a person in this kind of situation. They don't need help, or otherwise they'd never be in this to begin with. Rey earned her main protagonist status in this particular trilogy because the plot and the agenda behind this movie demanded it so. Fans wanted to see her interact with Luke, and instead we got a Canto Bite sequence. Rey in The Last Jedi is a letdown of a character and fell victim to Rian Johnson's creative decisions, just as the rest of the characters in this trilogy, specifically in The Last Jedi. I think it's safe to say that the fans have lost interest in Episode 9 because of what Rey has done so far. Why should she lose in the final film, you know? So good luck cleaning up Ryan's mess, JJ. Thank you for watching part 3 of my series, and I hope that you enjoyed my content so far. In the next part, I'll go over the main villain and evil mastermind, which means it's time to discuss why Kylo Ren and Snoke don't work in this trilogy, specifically The Last Jedi. If you enjoyed my content and want to see more of it, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. If you also have Twitter, consider following me at TPL723, as I enjoy interacting with people on a personal level and exchange opinions and ideas, even if we disagree with each other. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my esteemed peers on Twitter, whose interactions have been very encouraging for my channel. Now, if I forgot to mention any of you, I want you to know that at the time of this recording, my social circle was a lot smaller. I had the opportunity of meeting a lot more awesome people, and in the next video, be sure to get a shout out. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you. General Katarn, out.